Okay, so hello everybody. Good morning and good evening, depending on where you're all joining us from. Um, I'm very happy to be moderating this special session for tonight, Psychological Perspectives on Astrology and Self-Discovery, Art and Literature. And I'll be moderating on behalf of Lorna, who had a last minute thing to go to. So I will be here to help you all. Um, We can't hear you, Sabine, although it doesn't show that you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
But I think, oh, yes, now it's better.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
it's okay.
So will you be sharing anything?
Yes, I will share
Screen-wise, I mean?
I will share a PowerPoint. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Great. So feel free to try it out. And yeah, in the meantime, I can introduce you. So Sabine Henning Helbig is going to be presenting four female archetypes, asteroids named as Greek goddesses. Astrology came early into Sabine's life through her mother, who was a passionate astrologer. But life had other plans for her. After studying agriculture, she worked in food safety, teaching, speaking, and consulting people around the world. In her 50s, she started to ask deeper questions and came back to astrology with a course. That was life changing. Now her spiritual path unfolds and she connects with other astrologers as well as she has started her own astro coaching. In 2021, she published her book about how to read a birth chart. Over the last year, an opportunity guided her to lead monthly group calls with intensive astro coaching practice. Her wish is to teach and talk about astrology for a deeper understanding why we are here. Continuing on this path, Sabine's new life phase evolves and brings new insights and people into her circle. That sounds fascinating, Sabine, and we cannot wait to hear the rest.
Thank you so much. That's really very nice of you. Uh, I also thank the two four speakers, pre-speakers, because they already touched so many things, which are also astrology-wise important. But for Catherine especially, it's the archetype thing, which I also consider very much relating to my little presentation. Um, so I want to guide you with an animated slideshow. I hope it works. So, yeah, my title is The Four Asteroids Named After Greek Goddesses. Um, the content which I want to present before and which I want to hold closely to go with the time of 50 minutes. Uh, I will start with an introduction of the four asteroids which are named after Greek goddesses. Then I will show you where we can find these in the cosmos, in the sky. Then there will be a little description about the mythology behind them. And in the wrap up, I will do the astrology meanings in a chart example. So this will all be done one by one, each of the four after the other. So the four goddesses I'm talking about, here's the zodiac circle, which you easily can identify, are Ceres, Pallas Athene, or shortly Pallas, Juno, and Vesta. So they have also symbols which are in astronomy and astrology similar or the same. So when you find them in a chart, you can see these symbols. And I will talk about the symbols later on to explain them a little bit more for each of the goddesses. Astronomy-wise, we can say that we have this heliocentric view of the solar system. In the middle, this is the sun. Then we have Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars as our fourth speaker, the first speaker already explained very easily and very nicely. Um, and these four goddesses, these asteroids, so called, they are found to be found in the asteroid belt. which is beyond Mars and really between Mars and Jupiter. So in this big belt, we can find thousands of asteroids because there are so plenty of them, and they are even not all detected. But as I said, I talk about these four which are detected in the 19th century by different astronomers. Okay, the four goddesses in short are here in a little picture, and they are named after sisters of Jupiter or Zeus, uh, who has the parents Kronos or Saturn and Rhea. They were reborn, all the four were reborn when Zeus released his siblings out of the stomach of Kronos, who had all of the children. And this is, of course, another myth that we don't consider and hear further, but you can read about that, how it comes that Kronos had all his babies or his progeny. Okay, I start with the first goddess, which is Ceres or Demeter in Greek. She is the goddess of agriculture, grain, crops, fertility, and motherly relationships, as you can see here in the sculpture, where we have a little picture of this goddess. In the mythology, Ceres was the granddaughter of Gaia and the daughter of Saturn, and she is known as Demeter in Greek mythology. Her daughter was Persephone, and she was taken by Pluto, or Hades, to be his queen in the underworld. And of Pluto, we already talked in the first of this presentation session. Ceres mourned deeply, neglecting nature, which led to famine because she was so sad that her daughter was taken from her by Pluto. To save mankind, Jupiter sent Hermes, the Mercury, the god messenger, to ask Pluto to release Persephone out of the underworld. She was allowed to return after a little discussion, part of the year, bringing spring and summer with her. When Persephone leaves for the underworld in autumn and winter, the earth becomes cold and barren during winter. This is so-called the origin of the four seasons, as we have them in our northern hemisphere. So Ceres has the symbol of a sickle, which is the symbol, of course, for agriculture. The associated zodiac signs are, of course, Cancer, because this is seen as the universal mother who nurtures, loves, and leads with instinct. Scorpio-Taurus axis, the polarity, is also ruled by Ceres, or Ceres is ruled by them, because the lessons of sympathy and rejection, ability to absorb grief and worries, as well as the principle of sharing, are all included in this axis of the zodiac. Ceres is also ruling Virgo, while focusing on nutrition, food safety, and work routines, which is, of course, very big characteristic of Virgo as a zodiac sign. Okay, now I want to show you one example. We have Ceres, the sickle, here in Taurus, in the sign of Taurus, at the descendant. When a person has this in the natal chart, we can say security on the physical body is very relevant for them. Self-worth will arise through self-sufficiency. Over-identity, or the shadow side, will be that the material world can lead to imbalance and to fear of loss, which is also for the earthbound sign of Taurus, very much similar. In the sixth house, which we can see here for Ceres, the personal engagement in daily routines and functioning in family situations, as well as a strong focus on service in nutrition and health, is main subject when we have Ceres in the sixth house. So a person can be radically described for this Ceres location as I painted out here. Okay, next one is Pallas Athene. She is the goddess of wisdom, handcraft, and warfare. She was regarded as a patrona or protectress of cities in Greece, and particularly of the main city, Athens. We can see some traces of her work and of her sculpture on the Acropolis. She is the Amazon or intellectual woman in us, the female energy. The Greek mythology is like that. Athena was thought to be born from her dead Zeus' forehead. This happened after Metis, a sea goddess, became pregnant from Zeus. Metis had turned down his advances several times. You know, Zeus is very dominant and very much looking for some attraction, as we know from this god of the gods. Gaia and Uranus, as the mother and father, predicted that Metis would have a daughter who would match Zeus' power. After Zeus asked Metis to undergo this prediction, he swallowed her. This is a little bit cruel, but it's like the mythology in Greek. It's sometimes cruel. It's the symbology, which we need to see here. But that caused him terrible headache. So to relieve his pain, Zeus' skull was split open with a double X, which is of course an X, and it's for the female in biology. From his head, Pallas Athena appeared wearing shiny golden armor, as we can see here in the sculpture. So very drastical myth of Pallas Athene. Okay, we can also say that it can mean that the person is with a strong Pallas in the chart, can be a strong young man or a strong virgin. Because, as I said, the symbol is Amazon or intellectual woman as an archetype. Pallas Athene has the love of a daughter. So the spear as a symbol of the protector is her initial. Associated with the zodiac, we can say that Libra is giving balance and justice to her work as a goddess. Leo is also a royal sign who inspires their tribe with creativity, so also an association here. Aquarius, as the energy that treats humans equally and fights for their rights, can be called up as well as an associated zodiac. Pallas archetype combines the interaction between creative impulses of Leo, transpersonal and social interests of Aquarius, and balance or binding power of Libra, as shown above. So in the chart, we can see Pallas in the sign of Pisces here. You can see it's always the same chart that I use because it's very nicely lined up here in a line, all the four goddesses. So this is much easier. I can take that as an example. Pallas in Pisces is predestined for spiritual healing through dream journeys or visionary meditation. Talented in art that deals with light, like photography or spherical music. She is also Bodhisattva, the enlightened teacher or fighter. Her wisdom is compassion. In the fourth house, we can see even more intensified in this place, we can talk about an empath who uses the subliminal as source of wisdom. This person has a talent to create atmosphere in home and on vacation. Next one is Juno or Hera. She is called the goddess of the gods, stands for principle, matrimony, protection, and rights of wives. So in the Greek mythology, Juno is the sister and wife at the same time from Zeus. She fell victim to his trickery. How? He was transformed into a cuckoo, soaked in a storm, and took shelter under her cloak. Afterwards, he revealed his true form and raped her. Again, very cruel. To cover the shame, Jupiter promised to marry her, sharing heaven's power with her. Juno, alongside with Venus or Aphrodite, as a Roman name, was one of the few married women of the Olympus. Despite Jupiter's numerous affairs, Juno remained loyal. He sought her advice, but never fully trusted her. So, you know the wife emotional feeling or love. So, we have the scepter here, which is, of course, saying that it's a dominant goddess as well. So, it's a symbol of royal dignity. Associated zodiacs are Libra, which is, of course, for the beauty and binding energy that idealize partners or tend to idealize partners. Scorpio, as another binding and very committed partner, is also here because it's the radical truster. Semi-sextile between Libra and Scorpio, because Libra is the first one and Scorpio is following, so this is talking about an aspect as semi-sextile, connects both signs as matrimony and completion, but also talks about the big frustration of Juno with her inability in her matrimony with Jupiter to realize its full potential, like an ideal matrimony, which is, of course, with this person, with this god of the gods, not possible. In the chart, we have this scepter here in the sign of Aries. So Juno placement talks about independence and freedom in relationships, which is related to the archetype of Aries. Outbursts of temper are releasing mechanisms for frustrations in finding autonomy in a couple. So very much inside the couple. All this takes place inside of the couple because Aries is the sign where this goddess is to be found. Also, one can be attracted to a dominant partner. In the fourth house again, as we can see here, the need for safe relationships is the foundation for all activities. Idealistic imagination of a partner as the breadwinner is present. The main relationship lessons happen in private life or family because of the fourth house placement. The last one I want to talk about is Vesta or Hestia in Roman language. This Roman goddess is the goddess of the hearth, home and family. The god of the hearth, which can be symbolizing the body, and the sacred flame, which is the life energy as such, as well as spiritual, religious, cultural values, and social community. This is the priestly woman type, or the Virgo, the Virgin, the Vestal. Vesta is also a daughter of Saturn and Rhea, and is known as Hestia, as I said, in Greek mythology. She is the elder sister of Jupiter, alongside Ceres and Juno, from the first generation of Olympic gods. Vesta remained a virgin. In Roman culture, she was the goddess of hearth and home. Every house had an altar for her, and each city had a central public hearth. Vesta symbolized unity in family, community, and state. Numa Pompilius, Rome's second king, built a temple in her honor. The Vestal virgins were priestesses responsible for keeping the sacred fire burning, which represented the security of the Roman Empire. Selected from Rome's finest girls, up from the age of 12 already, they took a vow of chastity, as fire was seen as untouchable. Vesta, as you can see, the symbol here is the hearth fire. She is the emotional goddess of the sister. Associated with the zodiacs, again with Virgo, because this is the practical and dedicated partner, and Scorpio as the committed and faithful partner in friendships, for example, in sisterhoods. Both signs have similar symbols, Virgo and Scorpio, with the M. One has the inner file, like the Virgo, Virgin, and the Scorpio has the outer file in the symbol. This is the symbol for the spouse. As between came Libra in the zodiac. So during the rise of the patriarchalic worldview, this is the symbol of matrimony, which harmonizes both of these signs. within time in the zodiac, one can say. In the chart, we have Vesta here in the upper front of in the seventh house, but again in the sign of Taurus, like Ceres. So focus on work energy is best when they can rely on an unchanging space where the efforts are tangible, like a laboratory or an atelier or something, a cabinet for medicines, something like that, where they can return and do their work always with the same things around them in a good order, which they can uh, direct themselves. Sexually based on organic release of natural instincts, they like to have tactical or tangible touching touchings. So this is of course very important for this kind of Vesta placement. In the seventh house, the work energy is invested in partnerships because the seventh house stands for partnerships. Conflicts arises when freedom is challenged, this is not written right, by compromises or cooperative efforts, when they have to make compromises. This is not so easy because they like their own order and like their own thrive. Often they stay with one single partner in life because they are very loyal and very trustful with this kind of placement. Okay, it was very short. I'm sorry. If you want to hear the full 1 hour presentation, which I already gave in another group, you are introduced to my YouTube channel, which is written here. And also I do a new podcast, Let's Talk About Astrology, where I introduce all the planets, sun and moon, and everything beyond what you want to hear about combining the classical or ancient astrology with the modern one. Thank you so much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sabine. I just love the flow and the explanation and everything. It's just marvelous. And yeah, we were able to take in so much in so little time. So now to Sabine. Sabine, how has your personal journey with astrology and astro coaching influenced the way you interpret these goddess archetypes?
Well, as I was really a scientist all of my life, can you hear me?
Yeah.
I was used to go with analytics, with numbers, very precise, so-called um, natural, like natural equals. So this was what
Mhm.
I learned, to break down all the nature into calculations, into some
Mm.
relatively easy theories, which are deterministic, of course. And when I learned astrology, or I started with my spiritual path, it was all the opposite. Now I use numbers more for numerology, for example, for
Uh-huh.
for inspiration. When I look somewhere, I see 3 times the 1. Then I think of something which is spirit telling me. So it's much more the opposite, and I turn away from this biology and agriculture based seeing the nature and earth, our earth. So it's much more the spirit that talks to me now. And that's how I also experience nature when I go outside, somewhere on spiritual places, which are really talking to me with all the wisdom, like trees. And I like to embrace trees and everything. So it's so much more spiritual, my whole path. And within that, the astrology helps me to understand because I can calculate. It's the planet ecliptical tour, which we can really precisely mathematically tell from astronomy calculations. And then we down on the birth chart or on the zodiac cycle. And this is something that fascinates me still because it's so precise. And when you even do interpretations which are, of course, more a mixture now, not anymore the ancient only. We have to modernize a lot of things because we are living in
Uh-huh.
so crazy world, in another world. We are really doing a big eclipse, a big a level somewhere else. So it's much more making no more sense. It's all so chaotic, and we are living here as the older generation, and we can follow that. So we are within this, but even from another perspective, because we are so long in the world already. So we experience a lot of things, but this is completely new. With the corona, it's completely new. It
Yeah.
starts with that, and the financial crisis in 2008, it was completely new. So all that, what we discover now, what happens in the world, the chaos and the tragic natural phenomenons, which are thunderstorms and everything, all about all in the world, which is called climate change. This is all talking to us. It's talking to us. We need to work to wake up and save the earth, save the planet, because we are living here and we don't know where our spirits will go, and our earthly body will not go anywhere, because I know, despite all the spiritual path and all this, we are here on earth to fix and to do things here. And so I think it's a good combination to have realizations about what we can do on our planet to save it and not to destroy it even more, because everything is done by us. Why it's so destroyed, it's done by us. Why we see all the um, effects now, it's done by us, because we are only taking from the earth. We are taking the water. We are taking the earth. We are building structures. We are building buildings. So it's all very clear to me that we need to turn around. And I would like to do with my little astrological knowledge, I want to help to see that through, to see through all this and all the fake news, all the things which are also possible in the virtual world. So it's a little bit holistic view, which I try to make clear now, that I see more a holistic view on the world, and it makes perfectly sense to me. Also, the first part of my life until 50, it makes also perfectly sense that I understood and discovered and learned and studied even more and deeper. And I said, "Mother, shut up! I don't want this pendulum, and I don't want the spirit. I want to know what's reality." So I also understand me in my former life, but it makes all sense to complete it with this spiritual path which I'm working on now, walking on now. Yeah.
Very beautifully said, Sabine. Thank you. I mean, yes, like with this whole holistic view, first of all, positioning ourselves in the earth, for the earth, of the earth, that's very important. And then the connections start happening, and everything all of a sudden is seen, as you said, that you have a more holistic vision, which again also brings us closer to transdisciplinarity, to breaking down barriers, and to use an astrological term, not to eclipse different forms of knowledge or alternative or non-popular forms of knowledge that do not rely completely on the rational and the empirical. So what you said is very powerful. And thank you so much for sharing that and also for
Thank
sharing
you.
your lovely work with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.